Chapter 14. Ben branded himself as the rich teacher, and the name followed him at the expense of Ben, who finally admitted that he was a poor teacher. He never cared about such a big insult. Rich Ben spoke a lot. He spent most of his time lecturing others about the world. He had an idea about everything. Rich Ben dressed to kill and changed shoes like diapers. He looked so handsome, attractive to both fellow teachers and students. He was a hunk. Ben always toiled to prove a point and always won every argument. He taught us about investing and how to grow rich as teachers. He worked closely with Alois and organized the end of year teachers trip. We calculated $100 for this event that would last for 2 days. They reasoned that we had had a very long year of hard work and thus needed such a moment to celebrate. The changed poor teacher, as usual, raised his head and discerned our happy eyes, then lowered the head to note something. He was smiling. It was then that I realized Ben's was far different from us. At the end of the meeting, the rest remained thanking Alois, who proved to be great in everything, with his crony for coming up with such a brilliant idea. Benz walked away. I followed after him to his seat and greeted calmly. He was not happy about the party. He explained that parties are very good, but he had nothing to celebrate. I do not celebrate slavery. Hassan. He spoke empathetically. He meant it. Benz believed that we were slaves here and earned very little, thus it made no sense to deduct this dot to enjoy himself for 2 days and cry for the remaining 28 days. Poor teacher argued that he had enough bills to take care of, thus was not in a position to make merry. He explained that a teacher had no right to have merry, for he had a lot of things to handle until he obtained financial freedom. In our low-tone discussion, Ben said that it was good to dress like a king if one was, but a poor person would always look poor even if he dressed like a billionaire. It made no sense to impersonate because people knew the truth about teachers, and this was an added advantage because it would make teachers work harder to make ends meet with limited checks, since the society paid less attention to teachers. He never believed in impressing people because that was the biggest mistake of teachers. They are never themselves. Benz said that he liked Benny's jokes because at times they made him real and free, and if all teachers were like that during class, the world would be at peace. Say all the best statements. Be ethical where necessary, but when anger comes, do not hesitate to show it. If a bad word comes, say it and rectify issues later. Be real, be you, succeed. That is what I can submit, dear Hassan. That was Benz. I swear whoever called him crazy had a strong reason. Benz was difficult to understand. With the time, confusion hit my head because of poor teacher's statements. I agree that I used to go to him, pick a conversation, then take it to Benny's side for discussion and later laugh at him. I did it without his knowledge. One morning, the school introduced the social fund where we could contribute $10 monthly to act as a reserve fund to solve social issues like a friend's wedding, burial, sickness, or giving birth. Alois, the Great One, chaired the meeting that passed it and was cheered up. I waited to see Ben's grateful this time around, for he was this teacher with endless problems but looked unmoved. We all looked at him waiting for his submission. Benz said nothing. He just has a bad heart, full of jealousy. He is too negative to prosper, Alois said as Ben commented that he was simply mean and selfish. I wanted him to defend himself, but trotted to the dispenser, took a glass of water, and sat comfortably. When I asked him to comment, he smiled and said it was not requisite. He calculated some numbers and went to class. We stayed there discussing him as colleagues pressurized me, persuaded him, say something. I never asked myself why they cared much about his reactions, yet they called him important. When we met, Benz explained that it was very good to fundraise such money because money was ever important whenever available, but he had no reason to save the problems for problems because this seemed that people had too much on them and saved the surplus to call for problems. He believed that challenges shall always come and that solutions should always be there. And solutions shall always be there, but keeping money for this purpose was not his level yet. His alternative was that let money be gathered for investment, say buying a property for sharing or developing, forming a saving and credit cooperative to offer credit facilities to members such that they cater for their problems and pay some interest to the organization. Thus, the collected fund makes money and sets up any business venture that can earn the teachers some money daily. He always looked at me, but the day I stared at him for quite some time and took the response to my friends, who again laughed. He always looked at me, but that day I stared at him for quite some time and took the response to my friends, who again laughed. They called him a coward who feared taking risks. The great one said he wanted a circle, such that he could borrow money to cater for his children's fees, since he was extremely indebted. After that day, some teachers saw Benz differently. A few started greeting him. In no time, one of the colleagues had given birth to a bouncing baby girl, and $200 was offered. The following morning, a member lost a dad, then this one received $300. By the time another member got severe illness, there was no money left in the treasury to cater for this big contributor. There was dilemma in the meeting. The poor teacher was simply looking at us, struggling. One of us asked the head teacher to look into Benz's program, which he had hatched to me, but when the rest heard of his name, the idea was rubbished. It seems these guys hated him, but pretended that Benz was mentally struggling. I had seen sense in this, but had nothing to do here. Most people preferred their ideas, nothing else. Chapter 15. It was not in such schools only, but every organization that involved humans. They preferred fighting and tearing one another, instead of coming up with plans that would take the organization forward, each in line of promotion, concentrated on suffocating whoever put the head up. I cannot fully generalize that this happens in other continents. However, in Africa, it's common and as common as polygamy. It took me long to realize why Benz never spoke in meetings. He always knew the end. He was aware of such proceedings and kept his innovations and inventions to himself and only shared when asked. I started giving him more time and listened to his stories. He was not perfect, but he was always real, free, and rational. He could help with ease whenever he had the capacity to do so, however, preferred to be held. He hates that. Who hates that? Days passed. Daily meetings persisted until he shared with me that it would be of value to meet once a week and stipulated time. And for stipulated time, he explained that not everyone must speak in the meeting of institutions. The administration rarely takes suggestions for the workers unless it is in the pipeline of their agenda and your advice coincides with theirs, then you think you are good enough. The poor teacher nailed it that the boss is always right as rule number one, and no employee was wiser than the boss. He made a simple equation that if there existed a wiser employee than the employer, let him be his own boss. I got another reason to distance myself from the boss then, as Benz added that the employer pretends to know less and opens up to you such that you speak yourself out and feel loved, bright, and catch praises while making the biggest mistake that makes you expendable. You spill the secrets of the entire team. You report your colleagues and finally yourself. Time comes when you got nothing new. You were fired, having killed the future of others. Some work so hard, as the bosses say, but if this man says thanks without any monetary exchange, that is useless. It is about money. The rest are manipulations unless the venture is a charity organization. Benzi was not entirely right, but his opinion was his, no one else's. He concentrated on painting the other picture of the system we never saw and emphasized it to those who saw and took it lightly. That's why it was easy to call him negative. Slowly, his corner got busy, as many of the workers always yearned to hear from him. He rarely spoke sense, however, when the moment came to articulate issues, he was difficult to beat. Surprisingly, of late, Benz did not argue with others. He spoke once, and if a colleague opposed, he would frankly listen and admit when in wrong and promise to look into the issue in the future. He respected others' arguments in return. He one day whispered that we had to find a way of taking money from the school beyond our salaries. While the rich teachers thought of coaching Saturday allowances and salary increment at the end of the year, Benz imported new unique pens carrying 4 leads of different colors and sold them secretly to students. By the time fellow teachers learned of it, he was selling watches, bracelets, and beautiful jewelries in school. This was illegal in someone's school. Nevertheless, he at least took a step we never did. He was so brave that he risked his job for this small venture. He alleged that at times success existed in bending some laws. When Alois and Ben learned of this, they pushed for his dismissal on grounds that he never taught, spent time looking for customers, and never punished students in wrong, for he preferred to protect his market. In reality, Benz's lifestyle had changed in a few months. He practiced this business and cleared the debts one after the other. His own business made him so happy and looked like a semi-boss. The rich side laughed at him that he always miscalculated businesses. That was the pretext for his failure. These believed in saving money, while Benz trusted investing slowly as the capital accumulated in addition to growth of business. Chapter 16. Ben explained that it was better to save money for years and invest until it was enough, but Benz said that sleeping money loses value in real terms due to inflation, a thing that was difficult to calculate. To Benz, it was hard for a teacher to construct an arcade using his salary as it was for a poor man to go to heaven, because he was ever cursing, hating, backbiting others on top of begging and selling off his luck to the moneyed. However, if someone started a business and monitored it to grow such that in the future this would act as collateral security when obtaining a loan to buy or build an arcade, he claimed that whatever money one had was enough to start a given business with ease. He added that challenges existed in the business world, like high taxes, failure of the project, and others, but giving up is not a solution. It just slows down the entire line of someone's progress and prosperity. When the pressure on him increased, Benz never said goodbye to me. He set up a small project that made liquid soap and sold 20 liters a day. We laughed at his fake decision of quitting because he earned less than $5 a day, yet we were giants then. Our salary had been increased by 10% that no academic year. We still had strong beliefs in teaching because there existed rich teachers practicing the profession. We had seen them. Little did we know that that persistent outweighed resistance. The 20 liters graduated to 40 liters in 3 months, then 70 liters in 6 months. I believed this man was not as stupid as his name was painted. By the end of the year, Benz bought a bicycle, then a motorcycle, and later purchased his own car to sell liquid soap. With the time, he enrolled to Bath Soap and made his own brand and called it United Again Bath Soap. Within 3 years, my colleagues spoke another language. They attributed everything to luck instead of asking Benz how he did it. They never admitted that this guy was far better than us all. We needed business ventures. Every teacher deserved 1 or 2 to live some good life with less stress. I wanted to tell Benny the truth that Benz was the rich teacher. But how could I start? They would call me a psychopath. We always backbit others about their faults. We knew almost everything. We spoke about the celebrities across the world, the musicians, the politicians, the footballers, the movie stars, and others. We knew how rich men did it and could narrate their stories from the start to the end. This happened daily. If we could not talk about others outside school, we could discuss students and their wealthy parents, all complain about everything instead of finding a solution like Benz. Many of us were always envious. We never ceased calling the learners dull, weak, and lazy. We reached an extent of calling them stupid without considering their age, level of concentration, and the trend. Many of them were brighter than us, knowing much more than we did. Maybe that was the reason why they despised us. We taught them about the business we never had, yet they operated their parents'. They were aware of the practical bit of these ventures, profitability and risks involved. Chapter 17. We thought we knew a lot, but the fact is a teacher knows less than what he thinks he knows. A teacher is like a signpost showing a given destination it has never been. A teacher is the knowledgeable person who knows what to do but doesn't. A teacher is a person who does a job he hates, but he will never gather the courage to start what he admires. Who bewitched a teacher? A teacher will gather some little courage to set up a business, and when it gets set back, he lets go of it. When a teacher quits and sets up a business, he will go back to teaching and let the rest never to quit, basing on his past experience. He forgets that after some years, he will retire or quit and do business, then suffer the same hiccups again. Dear teacher or employee, it is hard to start, and a big percentage of businesses in Africa fail before seeing their first anniversary. Keep pushing slowly. One day you will graduate from being an employee to an employer. You will have the courage to remain patient and watch your business grow and harvest profits instead of salary. Entrepreneurs usually succeed because they believe there is no escape route and keep fighting to win. They believe that a business is like a child. It gets sick, catches cold, plays around, needs constant feeding, unlimited care until it grows. A person who cannot take care of a child can never manage a business. The two may be quite different, but if such a child's care is dedicated to a business, a teacher's life can change for better forever. Some little patience, washing away the pride of being a teacher, and go out there and face any business of passion, then do it with the whole heart. God shall finally bless the work of hands, deeds, not words. I may not consider the other side of the coin, as many critics may want. For example, a teacher saving for years, buy land, build a house, marry, have children, buy a car, then set up a business for a partner to monitor and quit teaching, then when it grows. This is very wonderful, and I may not say no to it. I just want to bring in the time factor. After how long? I want to mean that a rich teacher will look through his talents and concentrate on one that makes it. If he is so comical, he can become a comedian and earn madly from it. He can become a musician and earn from it. He can write something and sell it. He can paint something and earn from it. A teacher can become a YouTuber and profit from this. A teacher has numerous opportunities he can explore even if he is still teaching. Then he earns madly through job modification. Rich teachers never fear to risk. They never settle for less. They always explore and make it in life. While others were applying for better paying schools, marking international examinations, I joined a local political party and was welcomed as a deputy spokesperson of the parish. I started meeting big men slowly, participated in community activities, and finally stood as a town council mayor. However much I never went through, I learned that there is another life outside the school environment. Benz became a community teacher, organizing seminars to teach about soap making. People could pay to learn with love. They never disturbed him. There was no one to blackmail. He worked on his pace and lived a happy life. I one day visited him. He was miles away from us. He was humbler than ever. It seems the more wealth one accumulates, the more disciplined they become. I was later appointed as Chief Administrative Officer of our district and lived to enjoy the taxpayers' money. I am now looking forward to contesting as Member of Parliament in the forthcoming general elections. Fellow teacher, who is still teaching out there, I am not against what you are doing. Thanks for educating the nation. You may have come from far, and reaching where you are may look like paradise. You have a reason to stay. Nevertheless, do you admire those who have spent over 5 years in the profession? Benz never found his seniors inspiration. He had better dreams to meet. What about you? Always remember that a school or job is like a road. You are meant to use it to reach your destination. Never sit there because you are wasting your time. You will have to go to your home. Serve and go. I mean, teach and live. When you remain there for long, people will overtake you. You are likely to be knocked down or hit others' accidents. Let others pass peacefully. Do not block their way because you have no idea of where they are going. If you delay, when will you reach where you are going? You simply deserve more than that. You deserve higher payments. You can as well become rich while still in teaching by making right choices. I believe you will make it someday. A rich teacher does while a poor teacher talks. The end.